Marcus Chen stood in the docking bay of Nexus 7, watching the royal ship arrive. He was a soldier, not a diplomat. His armor was worn from countless battles, and his face showed the scars of a hard life among the stars. He had fought in 3 wars and survived missions that killed better men. Now, he was just a mercenary taking whatever jobs paid well. The contract was simple. Protect an alien queen for 2 weeks. Get her to the Galactic Council safely. Collect the payment. Leave. Marcus didn't care much about royalty. Earth had abandoned kings and queens centuries ago. But money was money. And this job paid very well. The royal ship's door opened with a soft hiss. Guards in crystalline armor stepped out first, their bodies made of living crystal that glowed with soft blue light. These were the Kirathi, one of the oldest species in the galaxy. They were known for 2 things: their incredible mental powers and their fragile bodies. Then she emerged. Queen Velsara was tall and elegant, her crystalline body reflecting the station's lights like a living diamond. Her face was humanoid, but alien, with large eyes that seemed to see everything. She wore simple robes despite her royal status, and she moved with quiet grace. Marcus stepped forward and gave a professional nod. Your Majesty. Captain Marcus Chen, reporting for duty. Velsara stopped in front of him. Her eyes studied him carefully. Then she spoke, her voice like music. Captain Chen, you are thinking this job will be easy. You are wrong. Marcus stiffened. Ma'am? I am telepathic, Captain. All Kirathi are. I can hear your surface thoughts. She tilted her head. You lost your squadron 3 years ago. You still blame yourself. You think protecting 1 queen will be simple compared to that pain. Marcus felt anger rise in his chest. His private thoughts were his own. But Velsara's expression softened. I do not mock your grief, Captain. I share it. I too have lost those I swore to protect. My younger brother died defending our people from raiders. I was supposed to keep him safe. Her crystalline hand touched her chest. We both carry the weight of those we couldn't save. The anger faded. Marcus looked at this alien queen and saw something unexpected. Genuine understanding. Not pity. Not manipulation. Just honest recognition of shared pain. Why are you here? Marcus asked. What's really happening? Velsara's guards tensed, but she raised a hand to stop them. There is a coup in my empire. My military commander, General Thakmor, wants to overthrow me. He believes the Kirathi should abandon peace and conquer other systems. He has powerful allies and many followers. And you need the Galactic Council's help, Marcus said. I need to present evidence of his crimes before he presents lies about me, Velsara corrected. He will send assassins. Many of them. Reaching the council alive will not be easy. Marcus checked his weapon. Then, we better get moving. They walked through Nexus 7's crowded marketplace. The station was home to dozens of alien species, all trading and living together. Marcus kept his hand near his gun, watching every shadow and every stranger. Velsara walked beside him calmly. You are very alert, Captain. That's why I'm still alive, Marcus replied. May I ask you something personal? When Marcus nodded, she continued. Why do you fight for money now? You were once a decorated officer. You believed in protecting Earth and its colonies. Marcus was quiet for a moment. I believed. Then my entire squadron died following my orders. Now I just do the job and move on. That sounds very lonely, Velsara said softly. Before Marcus could respond, his combat instincts screamed a warning. He saw the grenade a split second before it exploded. Down! Marcus grabbed Velsara and threw her behind a merchant stall. The plasma grenade detonated where they had been standing, sending a wave of superheated energy through the marketplace. Aliens screamed and ran in all directions. More grenades flew through the air. Marcus pulled Velsara up and ran toward cover, his armor absorbing plasma bolts from hidden attackers. He counted at least 6 hostiles, all heavily armed. "Stay behind me," Marcus ordered. He returned fire, dropping 2 attackers with precise shots. But there were too many, and they were surrounding them. A plasma bolt hit Marcus's shoulder, burning through his armor. He grunted in pain but kept fighting. Another bolt struck his leg. He stumbled but stayed standing, positioning himself between Velsara and the attackers. Then he saw it. A plasma charge, much larger than the grenades. It was flying directly toward Velsara. If it hit her crystalline body, she would shatter into 1,000 pieces. Marcus didn't think. He jumped in front of her, taking the full blast against his armored chest. The impact threw him backward, and pain exploded through his entire body. His armor was cracked and smoking. He couldn't breathe, couldn't move. Through blurring vision, he saw station security arriving and shooting the assassins. He felt Velsara kneeling beside him, her hands on his face. "Captain, Marcus, stay with me." Marcus tried to speak but couldn't. His body was shutting down. He had taken too much damage. This was how it ended, he thought. At least, he finished the mission. At least, she was safe. "No." Velsara's voice was fierce. "You will not die. I refuse to allow it." Her hands began to glow with bright blue light. She placed them on his chest and started speaking in her native language. Her guards gasped in shock. "My queen, no, that ritual is forbidden. If he dies, you will die too." But Velsara ignored them. The blue light spread from her hands into Marcus's body. He felt warmth replacing the cold darkness. He felt his heart beating stronger. He felt her thoughts, her emotions, her determination. She was binding her life to his, sharing her energy to keep him alive. Marcus's eyes opened. "What did you do?" Velsara looked exhausted, her crystal body dimmer than before. "But for now, we share life force." Marcus stared at her in shock. She had risked everything to save him. A mercenary she barely knew. "Why?" he whispered. Velsara smiled gently. "Because you threw yourself in front of certain death to save me. Because you deserve the same loyalty you showed. And because..." She paused. "I think we both need someone who refuses to let us fall." As medical teams arrived and began working on Marcus, he realized this mission had just become something far more complicated than a simple protection contract. And somehow, he didn't mind at all. Marcus woke up in the medical bay, with pain shooting through his entire body. His armor had been removed, and bandages covered his burns. But he was alive, which surprised him. What surprised him more was the feeling in his mind. He could sense emotions that weren't his own. Worry, determination, exhaustion. He turned his head and saw Velsara sitting in a chair beside his bed, her crystalline body glowing dimly. "You should be resting, Your Majesty," Marcus said, his voice rough. Velsara opened her eyes. "I am resting. I am also making sure you stay alive. The soul bond requires my focus until you are stable." "How long have you been sitting there?" 16 hours. Marcus tried to sit up, but his body protested. "You need to take care of yourself. If you collapse, this whole mission fails. If you die, I die," Velsara said simply. "The bond works both ways now. So you see, keeping you alive is taking care of myself." Through the strange connection between them, Marcus felt she was telling the truth. Their lives were actually linked now. If one died, the other would follow. "That was a stupid risk to take for a mercenary," Marcus said. Velsara smiled slightly. "You took a stupid risk for a queen you just met. Perhaps we are both foolish." Before Marcus could respond, Velsara's head guard entered the room. His name was Corvan, and he looked worried. My queen, we cannot stay on this station. More assassins will come. We must leave within the hour. We must leave within the hour. Captain Chen is not ready to travel, Velsara protested. Then he will have to become ready, Korvan said harshly. The assassins were Vortek hunters. That means General Thokmor has made an alliance with them. The Vortek are slavers and killers. If they are involved, this conspiracy is worse than we thought. Marcus forced himself to sit up, ignoring the pain. He's right. I can walk. You can barely breathe, Velsara said. I've done missions in worse condition. Marcus stood up slowly, using the bed for support. Through their bond, Velsara felt his pain, and she gasped. You are in agony, she whispered. Yes. But I'm also not dead. Marcus grabbed his damaged armor. Let's go before more killers show up. They commandeered a small transport ship from the station's docks. Korvan piloted, while Marcus and Velsara sat in the passenger area. As they left Nexus 7 behind, Velsara explained the full situation. General Thokmor was my father's most trusted commander. When my father died and I became queen, Thokmor believed I was too weak to rule. He thinks peace makes us vulnerable. He wants the Kirathi to become conquerors. And the Vortek? Marcus asked. They promised him military support. In return, Thokmor will give them access to Kirathi technology and mining rights in our territory. Velsara's hands clenched. He is selling our people's future for power. Marcus checked his weapons. Too many. Half the military supports him. Many civilians believe his promises of strength and glory. Velsara looked out the window at the stars. Sometimes I wonder if they are right. If I am too weak. Through their bond, Marcus felt her genuine doubt and fear. But he also felt her deep love for her people, and her determination to protect them, even at the cost of her own life. Strength isn't about being the loudest or the most aggressive, Marcus said. Real strength is doing what's right, even when it's hard, even when everyone doubts you. Real strength. Real strength. Velsara looked at him with surprise. You believe that? I learned it from my squadron. They were afraid every mission. Terrified. Actually. But they did their duty anyway. That's real courage. For the first time since they met, Velsara smiled genuinely. The moment ended when alarms blared throughout the ship. Korvan's voice came through the speakers. We have company. Vortek hunter ships, 3 of them. They must have tracked us. The ship shook as plasma bolts hit the shields. Marcus ran to the cockpit despite his injuries. Can we outrun them? Can we outrun them? No. They are faster and better armed, Korvan said grimly. Then we fight. Marcus sat at the weapons console. Your Majesty, I need you to handle the shields. Can you do that? I need you to handle. Can you do that? Velsara took the engineering station. I will try. The hunter ships closed in, and one attached to their hull. Marcus heard cutting equipment. They were boarding. Keep flying. Marcus grabbed his rifle and ran to the corridor where the Vortek would enter. I'll handle them. You are still injured. Velsara protested through their bond. Then I guess I'll just have to be careful. The hull breached with a screaming hiss. 5 Vortek warriors poured through, each one massive and covered in heavy armor. They carried energy weapons that could cut through steel. Marcus opened fire, dropping the first one immediately. The others scattered and returned fire. The corridor became a war zone of plasma bolts and explosions. Marcus fought with everything he had. His training, his experience, his desperation to keep Velsara alive. He used the narrow corridor to his advantage, preventing them from surrounding him. But there were too many, and his injured body was slowing down. A Vortek blade cut across his arm. Another warrior's gun butt struck his ribs. Marcus felt bones crack But he kept fighting. Through their bond, Velsara felt every hit, every wound, every moment of pain. Marcus dropped 2 more warriors, but the last 2 were overwhelming him. He was bleeding badly now, his vision blurring. One Vortek raised his weapon for a killing shot. Then the ship's internal systems went wild. Lights exploded. Doors sealed. The artificial gravity failed, sending everyone floating. Marcus looked toward the cockpit and saw Velsara with her hands on the control panel, her body glowing bright blue. She had interfaced directly with the ship's computer using her crystalline biology, something only Kirathi could do. She was controlling everything. The external weapons activated without anyone at the console. Velsara was firing them through her mind. The hunter ships outside exploded one by one. The last 2 Vortek warriors tried to reach the cockpit, but Velsara sealed every door between them and her. Then she vented the atmosphere from the boarding corridor. The warriors were sucked into space. Gravity returned, and Marcus collapsed to the floor, bleeding and exhausted. Velsara ran to him, her hands already glowing with healing energy. "You are dying," she said, fear in her voice. "Not yet," Marcus coughed. You were amazing. I didn't know you could fight like that. I am a queen. I must protect my people." She channeled energy into his wounds, stopping the bleeding. "And you are my people now, Captain. Through this bond, you are mine to protect." Marcus felt her pouring her own life force into him, keeping him alive again. "You're going to drain yourself. W. Then we drain together." Velsara's eyes were fierce. "You told me real strength is doing what's right even when it's hard. This is right. You will not fall, Marcus Chen. I refuse to allow it." As healing energy flowed between them, Marcus realized something important. This wasn't just a mission anymore. This wasn't just a contract. Somehow, this alien queen had become someone worth living for. And through their bond, Velsara felt his realization. She felt his loyalty shifting from professional to personal. And she smiled, even as exhaustion claimed them both. Korvan found them hours later. Both unconscious, but alive, their hands touching as their shared bond kept them breathing. The ship flew on toward an unknown destination, carrying a wounded warrior and an exhausted queen who had both discovered something rare in a dangerous galaxy. Someone who refused to let them face death alone. The ship crashed on Thyra 9, a jungle world far from galactic trade routes. Korvan managed to land them in a clearing, but the damage was severe. They weren't going anywhere without major repairs. Marcus was in bad shape. The wounds from the Vortek attack were infected, and fever burned through his body. Even with the soul bond keeping him alive, he was fading fast. Velsara carried him from the wreckage, her crystalline body straining under his weight. The jungle around them was thick, with massive trees and strange plants that glowed in the dim light. Strange sounds echoed through the forest. "We need help," Velsara said to Korvan. "There is a settlement nearby. I can sense mines there." They found the village an hour later. The inhabitants were Sylvans, a species that looked like walking trees with faces made of bark and leaves. They were peaceful people who had rejected galactic politics centuries ago, choosing to live simple lives in harmony with nature. The Sylvan elder, named Grandmother Willow, listened to Velsara's plea for help. She looked at Marcus, who was barely conscious, then shook her wooden head. "No. We do not involve ourselves in empire wars. Your problems are not ours." "He is dying," Velsara said desperately. "Please, I am not asking for soldiers. Just medicine. Just shelter, until he can walk again. Then he dies. Many die in wars. This is why we chose peace." Grandmother Willow turned away. Velsara felt rage and desperation rising in her chest. Through the bond, she felt Marcus's life force weakening. He had hours at most. She looked at her hands, glowing with faint blue light, and made a decision that shocked even herself. Corvan, hold him steady. My queen, what are you doing? Velsara placed both hands on Marcus's chest. She began channeling far more energy than before, speaking ancient Kirathi words. Her body's glow intensified until she was blazing like a star. Stop. Corvan grabbed her arm. That ritual is forbidden. You are making the soul bond permanent. If you do this, you can never break it. If he dies, you die. If you die, he dies. Forever. I know, Velsara said calmly. She pushed more of her life force into Marcus, creating a bond so deep that their hearts began beating in rhythm. The blue light spread through his entire body, fighting the infection, healing the wounds, pulling him back from death's edge. But the cost was terrible. When the light faded, Velsara collapsed beside Marcus. Her crystalline body covered in cracks. She had given so much that she had nearly shattered herself. The Sylvans watched in stunned silence. Grandmother Willow stepped forward, her wooden face showing something like respect. A queen who risks everything for a warrior. Who breaks her own people's laws to save someone not of her kind? The elder knelt beside them. Perhaps we were wrong. Bring them both inside. Thanks for watching. And to this for. The Bregs are coming. The 17-7. For 3 days, Marcus lay in fever, while Sylvan healers worked on both him and Velsara. The permanent soul bond meant they now shared everything. Pain, emotions, even dreams. When Marcus finally woke, he found Velsara sitting beside him, looking exhausted but alive. Through their bond, he immediately felt what she had done. You made it permanent, he said quietly. Why? Because you deserved someone who wouldn't let you fall. Velsara said simply. You gave your life to protect me. I give mine to protect you. Now we are equal. Marcus sat up slowly. His body still hurt, but the infection was gone. Your Majesty. Velsara, she interrupted. If we are bound for life, you should use my name. Velsara. Marcus said carefully. This bond. It means if I die in battle, you die too. You've tied your entire kingdom's future to one soldier. Yes, she met his eyes. Does that frighten you? Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Through the bond, Velsara felt his swirling emotions. Guilt, responsibility, but also something warmer. Gratitude, connection, something he hadn't felt since losing his squadron. It terrifies me, Marcus admitted. But it also makes me want to fight harder than ever. Because now I'm not just protecting a queen, I'm protecting someone who chose me. And Velsara smiled, and Marcus felt her genuine happiness through their bond. Over the next few days, as they both recovered, Marcus learned more about Velsara. She showed him memories through their connection. Her childhood, learning to rule, the pressure to be perfect, the loneliness of a crown. Her people expected her to be emotionless and logical, never showing weakness. I feel like I am failing them, Velsara confessed one evening. A good queen should not doubt, should not fear. A good queen is honest, Marcus said. My squadron's leader wasn't fearless. He was scared every mission. But he admitted it, and that made us trust him more. Because we knew he wouldn't pretend everything was fine when it wasn't. Velsara absorbed these words carefully. Through their bond, Marcus felt her reconsidering years of teaching about what a ruler should be. Their peace ended on the 4th day when alarms sounded through the Sylvan village. Vortec trackers had found them again, a dozen warriors emerging from the jungle with heavy weapons. Marcus grabbed his rifle despite his still healing injuries. Get the villagers to safety. But the Sylvans refused to flee. This is our home. We will not run. The battle began badly. The Vortec were heavily armed and experienced killers. Marcus fought with everything he had. But he was outnumbered and still weak from his injuries. Then something remarkable happened. Velsara joined the fight, but not with weapons. She used her crystalline body to create shields, protecting Marcus from shots he couldn't avoid. Through their bond, she sent him tactical information, sensing enemy positions with her telepathy. Marcus moved and she guided him. She created a barrier and he shot through gaps in her defense. When he ran out of ammunition, she lifted fallen Vortec weapons with her telekinesis and sent them to his hands. They fought as one being, each compensating for the other's weaknesses. Marcus provided physical strength and combat experience. Velsara provided telepathic awareness and energy shields. Together, they were far more effective than either could be alone. The Sylvans watched in amazement as a human warrior and an alien queen danced through combat in perfect synchronization. They saw something their peaceful culture had forgotten: that unity between different beings could create strength neither possessed alone. When the last Vortec fell, Marcus and Velsara collapsed against each other, exhausted but victorious. Through their bond, they felt each other's pride, pain, and relief mixing together until they couldn't tell whose emotions were whose. Grandmother Willow approached them slowly. "You have shown us something important. True strength is not isolation. It is connection. Unity." She gestured to her people. "We will help you. We have a stealth ship, hidden from the old days. We will give it to you, along with supplies. Reach your galactic council. Show them what you have shown us." As the Sylvans prepared the ship, Marcus and Velsara sat together under Thyra IX's twin moons. They didn't speak, but through their bond, they didn't need to. They had become something new. Two beings from different worlds, permanently connected. Learning to trust, completely. And in a galaxy full of division and war, that was something worth fighting for. The Sylvan stealth ship brought them to the Galactic Council Fortress Station with only hours to spare. The massive structure floated in neutral space, home to representatives from hundreds of worlds. This was where the galaxy's future would be decided. Marcus stood beside Velsara as their ship docked. Through their bond, he felt her nervousness. The Council would vote today on military intervention in Kirathi space. If they approved it, General Throckmore would use it as an excuse to seize total power, claiming he needed emergency authority to defend against foreign invasion. "We will stop him," Marcus said quietly. Velsara nodded, but her confidence was shaken. "I hope my evidence is enough." They entered the council chamber, a vast circular room with seats for dozens of alien species. The air hummed with translation devices as different languages mixed together. At the center stood the speaking platform, where Velsara would present her case. But before she could reach it, a Kirathi general in full military armor blocked their path. It was Throckmore himself, looking confident and powerful. "Queen Velsara," he said with false courtesy. "How unfortunate that you survived your journey. I had hoped to spare you this embarrassment." "The only embarrassment here is your betrayal," Velsara said coldly. Throckmore smiled. "Betrayal? I am saving our people from weak leadership, and I have already convinced the Council of the truth." He gestured to the assembled representatives. "They know you have been compromised." Marcus felt alarm through their bond. Something was wrong. The council speaker, an ancient being called Elder Jakar, activated the central display. Images appeared showing Marcus and Velsara together, their soul bond glowing between them. "Queen Velsara," Elder Jakar said gravely, "you have formed a permanent soul bond with a human mercenary. General Throckmore has presented evidence that this human is actually an intelligence operative sent by Earth to manipulate Kirathi politics. Your judgment has been corrupted. You are unfit to represent your people." "That's a lie!" Marcus shouted, but security drones immediately surrounded him. "Captain Chen will be detained during these proceedings," Elder Jakar announced. "Queen Velsara, you will answer the council's questions alone." Security drones escorted Marcus away despite his protests. Through their bond, He felt Velsara's rising panic as she stood alone before the council. Tok'mor's plan was brilliant and cruel. He wasn't just attacking Velsara's evidence. He was attacking her credibility. In the detention area, Marcus paced like a caged animal. Other humans were there too. Traders, diplomats, scientists working at the council station. They had been watching the proceedings on displays. An elderly Earth diplomat named Ambassador Chen, no relation, approached Marcus. "They're tearing her apart in there, questioning every decision she's made since meeting you." "I have to get back there," Marcus said desperately. "You can't. Council security is the best in the galaxy." The ambassador paused. "But maybe you don't need to. That soul bond of yours, it's real, isn't it? Not something that can be faked or programmed?" Marcus stopped pacing. Through the bond, he could feel Velsara struggling, her confidence crumbling under the council's accusations. "It's absolutely real." "Then that's your proof," the ambassador said. "The bond shows truth. It shows trust. Use it." Marcus understood immediately. He closed his eyes and focused on the bond, pushing a message to Velsara. "I'm coming. Hold on." Then he did something that shocked the guards. He grabbed a security drone's weapon, disabled 3 others with combat moves they couldn't anticipate, and ran toward the council chamber. Alarms blared throughout the station. In the chamber, Velsara was faltering. The council had dissected every choice she made, every moment of doubt, every fear she had shared with Marcus through their bond. They made it all sound like weakness and manipulation. "You abandoned your throne to travel with a mercenary," one council member accused. "You risked your life for a human you barely knew," said another. "You permanently bonded yourself to an outsider," Elder Jakar stated. "How can you claim to put your people first?" Velsara felt tears forming. Something Kirathi queens were never supposed to show. Through the bond, she felt Marcus's determination, his refusal to let her face this alone, and she felt him getting closer. The chamber doors exploded open. Marcus burst through, followed by dozens of security drones. He was battered, and his stolen weapon was empty. But he walked straight to the speaking platform. "Captain Chen, you are in violation of," Elder Jakar began. "I have the right to testify," Marcus interrupted. "You're questioning whether the soul bond is real? Whether I'm some kind of spy? Then let me show you the truth." He turned to Velsara and held out his hand. "Show them everything. Every thought. Every memory. Every feeling. Hold nothing back." Velsara hesitated. "Marcus, if I do that, they will see my doubts, my fears, all my weaknesses." "I know," Marcus said gently. "Show them. Anyway. Show them the truth." Velsara took his hand. Her telepathic abilities, amplified by their soul bond, projected their shared consciousness onto the council's displays. Every member could now see and feel what passed between them. They saw Marcus's memories, his lost squadron, his guilt, his loneliness. They saw the exact moment he decided to take the plasma blast for Velsara, not because of money or duty, but because he saw someone worth protecting. They saw Velsara's choice to create the soul bond, knowing it would tie her fate to his forever. They felt her reasoning, not manipulation or weakness, but recognition of genuine loyalty and the decision to return it equally. They experienced Marcus's thoughts about Velsara. No ulterior motives, no secret agendas, just respect for someone fighting for what was right despite impossible odds. But they also saw Velsara's private doubts and fears, the ones she had hidden from everyone. Her worry that she wasn't strong enough to rule. Her fear that her people would reject her. Her loneliness under the weight of her crown. The chamber fell silent. Marcus had just exposed a queen's vulnerability to her greatest critics. Tok'mor smiled, thinking this would destroy her credibility completely. But then Velsara did something unexpected. She stepped forward and spoke, not as a perfect ruler, but as herself. Yes, I have doubts, she said clearly. Yes, I am afraid sometimes. Yes, I make mistakes. But I admit these things because hiding them would be the real weakness. My bond with Captain Chen is not a manipulation. It is proof that I value truth and loyalty above appearances. She turned to face Thakmor directly. You claim I am compromised because I trust a human. But you have allied with the Vortek, slavers who have destroyed entire civilizations. You claim I am weak because I seek peace. But you would sell our people's freedom for your own power. Which of us truly serves the Kirathi Empire? Through their bond, Marcus felt Velsara's newfound strength. She had stopped trying to be what others expected and started being genuinely herself. And somehow, that made her more powerful than any facade ever could. The council members looked at each other. Elder Jakar studied the data from the soul bond carefully. The bond cannot be faked. It shows absolute trust between two beings. This is not manipulation. I vote to investigate General Thakmor's accusations, one council member said. I vote to deny military intervention, said another. I vote to examine Thakmor's alliance with the Vortek, said a third. Thakmor's confident smile vanished. The vote proceeded, and one by one, council members sided with Velsara. The military intervention was denied. An investigation into Thakmor's activities was approved. But Thakmor had one final move. He activated his communicator and spoke calmly. Execute final protocol. Outside the station, space lit up with dozens of warships emerging from hyperspace. Thakmor's fleet, supported by Vortek vessels, surrounded the council station. You may have convinced them, Thakmor said coldly, but I have the military power. Surrender yourself to me, Queen Velsara, or I will destroy this station and everyone in it. The choice is yours. Your life, or thousands of innocent deaths. Through their bond, Marcus felt Velsara preparing to sacrifice herself to save others. And he knew he had to stop her somehow. The real battle was about to begin. The council chamber erupted in chaos as alarms blared. On the main display, Thakmor's fleet surrounded the station like predators circling wounded prey. Dozens of warships, bristling with weapons, all pointed at the heart of galactic government. Velsara stood frozen, staring at the display. Through their bond, Marcus felt her decision forming. She would surrender herself to prevent a massacre. No, Marcus said firmly, gripping her hand. You're not doing this. Thousands will die if I don't, Velsara whispered. You told me once, I will not fall. You refuse to allow it. Marcus looked into her crystalline eyes. Well, I'm telling you the same thing now. You will not fall. I refuse to allow it. Thakmor's voice boomed through the station's speakers. You have 10 minutes to decide, Queen Velsara. Your life, or everyone dies. Marcus turned to the council members. Give me access to your communication systems. Now. Elder Jakar hesitated only a moment before nodding. Marcus rushed to the controls and opened a channel to Earth's Defense Fleet headquarters. His hands shook as he entered emergency codes he hadn't used in years. This is Captain Marcus Chen, authorization code Alpha 779er. I'm requesting immediate military assistance at Galactic Council coordinates. The Council is under attack. Repeat. The Council is under attack. A voice crackled through. Captain Chen, your authorization is outdated. What is the nature of this emergency? A rogue Kirathi fleet allied with Vortex slavers is threatening to destroy the Council station. If the Council falls, the entire galaxy falls into chaos. Earth has always stayed neutral, but this threatens everyone. Please. Humanity needs to show the galaxy what we stand for. There was a long pause. Then, message received. Hold position. Help is coming. Throckmore laughed when he heard. Earth? They are too far away and too cautious. They will never arrive in time. You have 5 minutes, Queen Velsara. But Marcus smiled. Through their bond, Velsara felt his sudden hope. She didn't understand it yet, but she trusted it. 3 minutes later, space rippled with hyperspace exits. Earth's flagship, the Indomitable, emerged first, followed by 24 fast attack cruisers. They positioned themselves between Throckmore's fleet and the Council Station. A transmission came from the Indomitable. This is Admiral Williams of the Earth Defense Fleet. The Galactic Council is under our protection. Any ship that fires on this station will be considered an enemy of humanity. Stand down immediately. Throckmore's confidence wavered. But he had come too far to retreat. You are outnumbered, Admiral. 24 ships against 50? You cannot win. Maybe not, Admiral Williams replied. But we'll make sure you don't either. And every species in the galaxy will know that Earth stands with the Council. Can you say the same for your people, General? Will the Kirathi support a traitor who allied with slavers? On the display, Marcus saw Kirathi ships in Throckmore's fleet, beginning to hesitate. Some were breaking formation, refusing to fire on the Council. All ships, attack now, Throckmore ordered desperately. The battle began. Plasma bolts and missiles filled the space around the Council Station. The Indomitable took massive hits protecting the station, its shields flaring under the assault. But Earth ships fought with the determination humanity was known for. Never retreating, even when outnumbered. Marcus couldn't just watch. I'm going out there. What? Velsara grabbed his arm. Marcus, you'll die! Not if you help me. Marcus grabbed a combat suit from the Council's security armory. Through our bond, you can guide me. Be my eyes. Be my tactical computer. Trust me like I trust you. Velsara understood. She nodded and closed her eyes, focusing on their connection. Marcus took a small combat shuttle and launched toward Throckmore's flagship. Vortec fighters swarmed him immediately. But through their bond, Velsara warned him of every attack before it came. She felt their intentions through her telepathy and guided Marcus's movements with perfect timing. He dodged fire that should have killed him. He shot down fighters that never saw him coming. Their enemies couldn't understand how one human pilot was outmaneuvering an entire squadron. Marcus reached the flagship and docked forcefully, cutting through the hull with plasma torches. He fought his way through corridors filled with Vortex soldiers, his rifle never missing because Velsara told him exactly where enemies were hiding. Back at the Council Station, Velsara sat in deep meditation, her consciousness split between her body and the bond with Marcus. She felt every shot he fired, every wound he took, every breath he struggled for. And she guided him forward, refusing to let him fall. Marcus finally reached the flagship's bridge. Throckmore stood there in his battle armor, surrounded by guards. You cannot win, human, Throckmore said. Even if you kill me, my fleet will destroy the Council. Your fleet is already breaking apart, Marcus said. Half your ships have stopped fighting. Your own people are abandoning you. It was true. On the displays, Kirathi ships were powering down weapons and surrendering. They had seen the footage from the Council chamber. They had heard Throckmore's alliance with slavers. They knew their general had betrayed everything they stood for. Throckmore roared in rage and attacked. The fight was brutal. Even wounded and exhausted, Marcus held his own because Velsara was with him every step, warning him, guiding him, giving him strength through their bond. But the effort was killing her. Back at the station, Velsara's crystalline body began cracking from the strain. She was channeling too much of her life force through the bond, using everything she had to keep Marcus alive and fighting. Corvan shook her shoulder desperately. My queen, stop. You're destroying yourself. No, Velsara whispered. He protected me. Now, I protect him. I refuse to let him fall. She poured the last of her energy through the bond, giving Marcus one final burst of speed and strength. He disarmed Thakmor and struck him down. The general collapsed, defeated. Marcus activated the flagship's communication system and broadcast Thakmor's confession across all channels. His alliance with slavers, IR, Marcus, his plan to sell Kirathi freedom for power, his willingness to destroy the council. The remaining hostile ships immediately surrendered. The battle was over. But when Marcus tried to feel Velsara through their bond, he felt almost nothing, just a faint flicker, like a dying flame. No, 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 no. Marcus ran back to his shuttle, flying desperately toward the council station. Velsara, stay with me. You don't get to fall either. I refuse to allow it. He burst into the council chamber to find her collapsed, her body covered in cracks, barely glowing. Medical teams surrounded her, but her vital signs were failing. Marcus dropped beside her and grabbed her hand. Through their bond, he did what she had done for him twice. He channeled his own life force into her, keeping her alive through sheer determination. Don't you dare leave me, Marcus whispered. We're bonded forever. Remember? Where you go, I go. So if you're going to live, you better take me with you. For days, they lay in the medical bay, both hovering between life and death, their bond keeping them anchored to the world. Kirathi scientists discovered something remarkable. Their bond had evolved beyond anything seen before. They were literally keeping each other alive through willpower and connection. Slowly, they both healed. Marcus woke first and refused to leave Velsara's side, holding her hand and talking to her through their bond until she finally opened her eyes. Marcus, she whispered. I'm here. You're safe. We won. Tears formed in her crystalline eyes. We survived. We survived together. The galaxy changed after that day. Thakmor was imprisoned. The Kirathi Empire embraced Velsara's leadership with overwhelming support, moved by her genuine sacrifice. The council offered both Marcus and Velsara honors and positions. But the story ended quietly, away from politics and ceremonies. On a peaceful terrace overlooking the Kirathi homeworld, Marcus and Velsara stood together, watching the sunset. What will you do now? Velsara asked. Your contract is finished. You're free to leave. Marcus smiled. You bonded yourself to me permanently, remember? I'm not going anywhere. Besides, he squeezed her hand gently. I found what I lost when my squadron died. Purpose, connection. Someone worth protecting not because of duty, but because of choice. Through their bond, Velsara felt the absolute truth of his words. She smiled and leaned against him, something no Kirathi queen had ever done publicly before. Then I suppose you're stuck with me, Captain Chen, because I refuse to let you fall. Ever. As the twin moons rose over the crystalline city, a human warrior and an alien queen stood together. Proof that the strongest bonds weren't forged by species or power, but by two souls who refused to let each other face the darkness alone. Their story became legend across the galaxy. A reminder that sometimes the greatest strength comes from refusing to let someone fall, and having someone refuse to let you fall in return. The end.